And hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, it's so great to have you. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. Well, I have the pleasure of having someone who's been here before, and thankfully she's decided to come to the station and be with me today. Her name is Thoma, and she's a writer and a theater maker, and we're going to learn exactly what that's all about. And Laura, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me back.
I'm glad we didn't do Zoom. I'm glad you decided to
Me
come
too.
in.
Yes, it's so lovely to be in person again.
Well, listen, what I like to do to start the show is to introduce the guest to the viewer. So why don't you take us back into your background? Tell us about yourself.
Sure. Well, background. I started dancing when I was quite young. I started dancing when I was 4 years old. And that was my very first path, was being a dancer. And I went professional at 12. And then slowly musical theater found its way into my life. And I went from classical ballet to musical theater. And the minute I was in the theater, I love ballet and I performed with live orchestras and enjoyed that. But the minute I was in musical theater and in that type of theater of that era, which was kind of a dinner theater, I fell in love. I fell in love with the physical form of theater and everything about it. The theater I grew up in was called the Tidewater Dinner Theater. Sadly, it no longer exists. But there I had such an amazing opportunity to work with just such talented designers, costume designers, light designers. And I think I really began to fall in love with the whole aspect of theater, not just performing. So that's where it kind of all started for me. And then I ended up in New York as a dancer and went on and performed. I taught, I choreographed, and eventually I was injured and I decided to walk away from theater. It was probably my third knee surgery by that point. And I just decided it was time. And I left theater for 5 years. And in those 5 years, I did all sorts of things. I did photography, I did lots of other creative things, but I realized I really missed the collaboration of theater. And I started writing, which was something I'd always done, but not seriously. I'd always journaled and written a little bit. I was never good at grammar, so I didn't think I could be a writer. And I started reading a book, and I can't remember the name of the book. It was about playwriting with a friend of mine, and a character showed up and wouldn't leave me alone, and that's kind of where it all started. And slowly I wrote up my very first play, and then I was like, okay, I guess I'm back in theater, and this is what I'm going to do.
So the playwriting, at what age did you kind of move over to have that be a part of your life?
Yeah, I was in my mid-30s, so I was about 35.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So dancing was a very big part of your life. Do you miss it?
Very much. Very much. And it's one of those things that you can have in your life somewhat, but I could never do it at the level that I was accustomed to. And I enjoyed teaching and I still enjoy teaching, but it just took a physical toll on me. So finding my way back into theater through writing has been really special.
So the theater is where your love is now?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We had mentioned before we started taping when I got your email, because it's lauratomaplaywright.com, which is your website. Mm-hmm. So I know you as a playwright, but your signature in your email was writer and theater maker.
Yes.
Could you tell us what that means to you?
Absolutely. Well, and theater maker is a term, I don't know where it started. I'm sure somebody I should know started it, but it just kind of encompasses everything in theater. And there's many of us who do so many different things. And I'm somebody who's been on stage, I'm somebody who's directed. So I just make theater in whatever form I can. I love being involved, from stage manager up.
And the writer part, playwright being the plays, the writer being other things.
Absolutely, other
Tell
forms.
me what you're doing.
Yeah, so I love playwriting. It's definitely where my heart is, but I'm also exploring other forms. So I'm playing with novels. I have 2 novels that I've written that I'm starting to revise. And now that we're in October, I have to say for novel people, so November is National Novel Writing Month. So there's something called NaNoWriMo that you can participate in, which is how I wrote my very first novel. And then October, they call it Preptober. So people prep for NaNoWriMo. So I really enjoy that. And then I'm also learning about screenplays, which is so completely different from playwriting. It's such a different craft. So I like to challenge myself trying to learn different forms and embrace different forms of writing.
Well, we had just mentioned that I wrote a screenplay myself.
Yes.
Have you taught yourself how to write a screenplay? It's so different from anything else.
It's so different, and so different from playwriting. Playwriting is really 99% dialogue. Like, that is where the story lies. And in screenwriting, it's all about writing the visual, which I find quite challenging. I've taken a couple classes, and I love film. I love to watch film. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to write a good screenplay, but I'm fascinated, trying to learn the craft, see what I can do.
And you and I are both members of the former League of Professional Theater Women, which is Connecticut Theater Women Network now.
Yes.
How long have you been a part of it? And you were just in the newsletter doing things. Tell us about it.
Yes, I think I've been a member for 5 years. I'll have to ask Mary Miko because I don't remember. But it's been quite a while, and yeah, they're so supportive, and I really appreciate that. Mostly this year, I won the Green Stage Gilbert Artist Grant in 2024. So this year has all been spent writing a play, and then it premiered in August at the Green Stage Festival. So it's been nine months, I guess, of focusing on that one project. So it's been amazing, exhausting, challenging, all the things.
Tell us about the play, and tell us how it was to perform in Gilbert. This is a very local show in many ways. What is Gilbert about? Yeah,
they're beautiful. Green Stage does such a great job of supporting local artists, which is something that's always challenging to find that support. So I had a $5,000 grant. I was commissioned to write a new work. So I proposed the work, and the story was based on my own experience of finding another writer whose name is Thoma, who lived in the 1940s. She was a Swiss writer who lived in Germany, and she was a lesbian, and she was an activist. And when I found her, I just suddenly felt like not alone. I felt like, wow, there's somebody else who's kind of traveled this path. And I often feel very alone on my path. And so that was the seed of the idea for the play. So it was 3 characters. There was an older woman who I couldn't decide when I first started writing. I thought, maybe, will she be in Europe? Where will she be? I don't know. And then the younger woman whose name is Oki. And then I was like, well, how will they talk to each other? And finally I decided it was a cat, because cats have 9 lives. So it became a 3-character play. And the older woman, whose name is Vic, is dead, but she's kind of in a liminal space. So the story is just kind of like how both women find their way to their next transition, to their next step, and how the cat helps them. It's kind of their guide in finding themselves, and how important connection is in this world, and how many of us feel alone, and how we need to find people who can inspire us, whether they're with us or not.
Probably many people watching the program, because I have Arts and Entertainment as the foundation, are writers and playwrights. They're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm just like Laura. What would your recommendation be for them to get started?
In writing?
Yes, in writing or even playwriting. Maybe you can do both.
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the biggest things, a lot of people will say to read, which I agree with, like read other things and see what you like. But I think for me, it was more about, I always liked taking a craft book and studying it. And I tend to like to do that with somebody else. So I will find somebody and share a book and read a chapter a week and come and discuss it. And a lot of craft books have like exercises in them. So then you can come and bring a little sample and share it with somebody. And that just helps you begin to build your own community and have that practice. Because I feel like when you're first starting out, it's really hard to do something for yourself. You kind of need that external deadline, which is where classes are also a great way.
Speaking of that, writing is very much an alone thought as well. For many people, they do write alone. How is it to be alone? Are you alone a lot?
I am. I really like it. I do know that there are, I believe the Dramatists Guild has what they call silent rights, I think is what they call them. So there are many places where you can, I think theirs are online, where so you would go online and I think everybody kind of says hello or whatever in the beginning, and then you mute your camera, or you mute your audio, and you just sit there and write. So you're not writing alone. I personally like to write alone. I like to be alone, but then I like to have writers that I can share my work with. That's a very important part of the process for me.
One of the other times that you have been on, which you've been on several times, is with Shoreline Playwrights.
Yes.
And I will have you and Terry back on again. Tell us what that's all about.
Yes, so Shoreline Playwrights, Terry and I met, oh gosh, I don't even know. It's been quite a while. It's probably been almost 9 years now. That's amazing to me. But we met when we were both very new writers, and I don't know, we just kind of hit it off right away, and we both were like, do you want to go see this show? Do you want to go to this, outreach thing? And so we started doing things together, and eventually we were like, we should support each other and other writers in developing our work, because it's very hard to be a new and emerging playwright, and it's particularly hard to be a middle-aged person trying to start something new. So we joined forces, and that's how we started Shoreline Playwrights, and we've produced a lot. When we first started, we produced a lot, and now we have our own studio space where we really develop our own work. So that's kind of what we're focusing on right now. We'll have like monthly readings where we have actors come in and read our new work, and so it's all much more internal now. Most of what we're doing is internal facing, not external facing.
When you have actors come in and read your work, what does that mean?
Well, we literally invite them to the studio, let's say on a Monday night, and we'll each bring scripts and they'll read them. And for us, it's just an opportunity to hear the work, because a lot of times when you're writing, you're like, oh, well, that's good. But then when you hear it, you're like, oh, that doesn't work at all. So you need to have somebody else reading it, and it allows us to begin to develop our work. And we've also done several workshops and those type of things in our own space as well, which is just nice to have a place where we can bring people together.
It sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a break and
Absolutely.
We'll be right back. We're going to take a break right now. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You're tuned in to Arts and Entertainment, and we'll be right back.
Scammers steal the identity of a Connecticut business to target people across the country in a fake invoice scam. Better Business Bureau Scam Tracker received hundreds of reports about an email that appears to come from PayPal and states there's an unpaid invoice from Palomino Bazaar LLC for around $1,000. It instructs the recipient to call the number if they don't recognize the charge, and also includes links to view or pay the bill. The owner of Palomino Bazaar in New Canaan says the vintage furniture resale business was inactive. She believes the password to the email address associated with the company was exposed in a data breach, and says that it was a password shared with the business's PayPal account, an account she has since closed. Invoice and money request scams are one of the most common frauds associated with PayPal, according to the company's website. If you've encountered this scam, report it to BBB Scam Tracker, even if you haven't lost money, to warn others. BBB recommends business owners do regular searches of their business to inspect their online presence. Use reverse image search if you believe someone has taken pictures from your website. And report scams to bbb.org/scamtracker.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, it's so great to have you. I hope you're enjoying the show. My conversation continues on with Laura Thoma. And Laura, we were talking during the break about the website, and if we could put the website address up on the screen, that would be great. LauraThomaPlaywright.com.
That's right.
What will the viewer find when they visit it?
They will find a little bit about me, so they'll find out a little bit about my history. They'll see production photographs from the shows, my work that's been presented mostly locally. They'll also find what I'm working on, and a little bit, some synopsises about my plays, as well as a blog, which I'm not the best at doing, but I do try to share a little something every month about what's going on and what I'm working on.
Do you do the website yourself?
I do, yeah.
How now? For the writer, playwright that's
Yeah.
out there, how is it to do your own website? Where did you get it?
You can go from very simple to very complicated, and mine is very simple. It's GoDaddy is the actual platform that I use. Is pretty much a click and build, so it's quite simple to do. And there are plenty of people you can also hire to do it if you're somebody who wants to do that. But I always wanted the freedom to be able to change things around when I wanted to change things around, and to add things when I wanted to.
Now, I have seen your work at Drama Works,
Okay.
a theater that's located in Old Saybrook,
Yes.
Connecticut. How did you find that space to perform in with your work?
It's such a lovely space, and Ed was so generous, and I love that space. It's really a little black box theater. And for my work, it was perfect. I think the first play we did there was Magpie, I want to say, which is a 4-person play, and it was just the perfect setting for it. So they're a lovely little theater. Mm-hmm.
Your writing, you were talking about something that you would like to cover in this part of the interview. What is it that you'd like to say right now?
Oh, well, we were just talking about like being a new writer and how, and not even maybe a new writer, but when you're working on different projects and how to organize them and that type of thing. Because I think a lot of people really struggle if you're not in a class. And for me, I think like that's part of it, whether you're somebody, if you're tactile and you use notebooks or if you use online things like Trello, it's finding a system that works for you that's best. And for me, I tend to have a notebook for every project, and then I also have an online board where I put everything and organize everything. And I find that very helpful.
And you work from home?
I do mostly, yes. Terry and I also have a studio space. So I have an office in my home, and then I'll also, when I feel like I need to be out in the world, I'll venture out to the studio to work.
We were talking about a year plan, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan. What are your hopes and dreams in the future? We're at the end of 2025. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Always, well, so we're now in our last quarter of the year. So my goals for the last quarter, which I was just working on this morning, are basically to revise my novels and train. I have a new puppy and train my puppy because I want my puppy to be my studio dog. So that's part of my goals. But then going forward, there's just so much that I want to do. So it's figuring out how to take my time, delineate my time, basically. So I definitely have a lot of marketing I need to do on my existing plays. I have some work I'd like to do on that. And then I really want to expand my writing. So I have all sorts of goals, but my main mission in the theater is to help expand the American story canon. I want to diversify it. I feel like we need more voices, a lot more female voices and a lot of different voices.
Okay, let me follow up with that. How do you do that?
You just keep writing plays, and then for me, I need to get development. So I have a lot of plays that I feel like speak to that mission, but I need to get them out there. So I'm trying to find development places like there's a place in Minnesota that if you can get in. It's a 3-year program where you go out annually and they help develop your work and they help introduce you to theaters. So there's several of those throughout the country. So always applying, always having to write about your work. So.
Development, what does that mean? Are you physically going someplace and having a writing situation happening?
Yeah, it can. It depends. A lot of development is where someone is investing in you. They're investing time and money, and they're helping you expand your play. So like I have plays that I've worked on by myself, but now I need to be in a room with actors and a director and perhaps a dramaturg. And then just also meeting different theaters, so that we need the bridge from where we are to meeting artistic directors from all over and helping them. It's a hard time in American theater, but we still need new work, and so it's finding those places where we can help them as playwrights, and they can help us as well.
Okay, so somebody loves your play. What happens next? Do they buy it? Do they perform in their theater? You've done things like this. What's the next step?
Well, it depends. Like my play Magpie is already published. So somebody, if they wanted that, they would license it. So that could be done anywhere right now. And they would go to Next Stage Press, who is my publisher, and license the play. Some of my other plays that are not published yet, that's where you kind of need that step of development where it will get done and hopefully it will get noticed and get some reviews and start to build momentum.
You've submitted your play, I'm not sure, internationally, would I say that
I have,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Tell us, for the listener and the viewer right now, how do you submit your work to establishments?
Absolutely. There are all sorts of places that have lists of people who are taking submissions. So that's where you start and you look for it. So there's places, I think the Dramatists Guild has it. There's a place that I use called Submission Helpers. There's all sorts of places. But once you find it, you then go through their website and they'll have a form for you to fill out, or they'll ask you all these things. The hardest part about submitting is not only are you submitting your work, but you have to learn to write about your your work. So everybody wants an artist statement, and everybody wants to know, like, if I give you this development opportunity, what are you going to do with it? So then you're having to figure that all out. And it's challenging because you don't want to sound generic, because there are hundreds and thousands of people applying for the same things. So it's the hard part of finding your own authenticity in those, but also really trying to check the boxes of how you would use their resources and why it would benefit them to support you.
Now, you've mentioned writing a novel, being a playwright, screenplay. How did you learn how to do each genre? I mean, how does somebody do all three?
Well, I will say, I think all of mine goes back to Mr. Buckley, who was my Comp 101 teacher at Wilbur Wright Community College in Chicago.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. And he gave us an assignment to write something personal, very personal, but also that could be identified universally. And I wrote, which was The Seed of Magpie, I wrote about going to see my father's grave. And when I got the paperback, it had red marks all over it. And I was like, see, I'm not good at grammar. But at the top of the page, he said, are you a professional writer? You should be. And I went up to him in that class and I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, you're a good storyteller. And I feel like he planted the seed for me that craft is something we can learn and something we can get support with, but storytelling is something that we are. So that's what's allowed me to kind of explore these different genres. And I can take that back to dance too. Being a professional ballerina and learning the story ballets, I really have started to understand that it's always been about the story. So the different mediums are hard, and the craft is a lot of work in each of them. They're extremely different, but it's something we can learn. The story part is the important part.
How does somebody become a storyteller?
It's a good question. I think we naturally are. You know, when we look at our lives and you look about like what you're sharing and how we go about, and you can ask yourself, am I somebody who, like, at the end of the day, do I remember the visual part of my day? Do I remember what I heard? Like, there are clues in that as to what type of storyteller you might be. You know, are you a tactile storyteller? But I think we're all naturally storytellers.
Film. People are saying, oh my goodness, she's talking film, and I love film, because a lot of this program is dedicated to theater, which is just a wonderful part of the state of Connecticut. There's just so much of it.
Oh, absolutely.
How does somebody break into film?
That's a great question, and if you know, send me a line.
Oh, there you go. Oh.
Yeah, but I think it's like anything else. I think it's a process, right? I mean, you have to write good scripts, and then you take them out and you pitch them. It's similar to theater and any other type of writing. With novels, you query agents. You know, basically it's having your project and really being able to talk about it, describe it, and then sharing it with other people.
How about finding an agent? What are your thoughts about that?
It's getting tougher and tougher, I would say, and things are changing so much because of social media has really changed how we present ourselves and how people are found. But I think it's a process, and I think one step at a time is what I tell myself. So my first order of business is getting everything revised and getting it into a place that it needs to be, and then hopefully I will find somebody who's really interested in finding the next voice of diversity.
Now, you've mentioned your novels. You've mentioned the play, you've mentioned the screenplay. Which one is coming first? What do you want to work on?
I'm somebody who works on multiple projects at the same time because I find it very helpful. It's hard for me to stay. I like having at least two projects going on, because you'll get to a point in one where you're like, I'm not sure I need time to think about that, which is kind of where my play is that I just did for Green Stage. It needs a little time to simmer. So that's where I'm back into the revising of the novel. So I kind of will do them in tandem.
Theater. What are your thoughts about theater in general? We're here on the shoreline, state of Connecticut, the show goes. The nation has so much theater. How is theater doing according to your perspective?
It's doing well. I mean, it's still recovering. It's been a long road from the pandemic, and unfortunately recently we've had a lot of cuts to our national endowment and just in general. But there's so much new work, and there's so many amazing theater artists out there, whether they're designers or writers or directors. So I think theater will always be there. It's just I don't know I think we as a society are beginning to understand its importance again, which is amazing, because we, theater makers and artists, are the people who really help us know what's going on and remind us of our humanity and our, like, it's just such a special place. And theater is one of those few places. I always say, I think it's Harvey Fierstein who said, you know, it's my religion, sitting in the dark with others believing. And that's what I think about theater. It's such a special experience and something. I love film, but it's very different to sit in a theater with people and take that journey of a story.
We are slowly starting to run out of time, but you mentioned director before. How did that come about?
Honestly, it happened when I had my play, Magpie, I think was the first thing I ever directed. And that play meant so much to me, and I wanted to see it the way it was in my head. So I took it on. And then I kind of fell in love. I knew I loved actors, but that experience was so amazing. So it made me want to work with actors more.
Closing thoughts. We are just about out of time. Any closing thoughts for the viewer? Any guidance?
Just keep telling stories and know that your voice is important. I think that's the most important thing that we all need to know, is that our voice is important.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
It's a
My
pleasure.
pleasure.
And you'll come back with Shoreline Playwrights next.
Yes.
Okay, thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You're tuned in to Arts and Entertainment. In case you need to reach me, I'm at artsandentertainment@mail.com. Well, I hope you have a super day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I'll see you next time.